I have given 4 mains, and in 2 of my attempts, I could score around 350, 370. In my first 3 attempts, I did not have a good understanding. In my fourth attempt, I started solving the previous year question. Fifth attempt, sixth attempt, every day between the prelims and mains, I have written extensively in the morning 1.5 hours and in the evening 1.5 hours. हमें ये फोकस करना है कि 420, 430 टाइप तो हमारा आए ही. ये जो इंटरव्यू है, इट्स वेरी सब्जेक्टिव. वी नीड टू हैव एटलीस्ट 1000 in our final marks to get into IAS. GS paper 1 में what I was saying was कि in history what one needs to do is, like for example in modern history. GS 3 I improved my marks a lot. I had a very technical language in that. In my answer writing, I was quite fond of using these quotes which can be used in the body, which can be used in the conclusion as well. PYQ mains 2023. ये bouncer questions हैं. Do you think marriage as a sacrament is losing its value in modern India? Intro conclusion was pre-prepared.
कैसे किया था आपने इंट्रो?
For example, in लक्ष्मीकांत स्टैटिक ही पूछता है मोस्टली तो पॉलिटी के पेपर में. तो लक्ष्मीकांत लाइक उठाया, फेडरलिज्म उठाया, तो सर उसका इंट्रोडक्शन पता था कि अकॉर्डिंग टू ग्रैनविल ऑस्टिन और आइवोर जेनिंग्स. तो सर वो सारा इंट्रोडक्शन एंड कंक्लूजन वाज प्री-प्रिपेयर्ड. उस तरीके से I had prepared the intro conclusion section wise and topic wise.
What Siddharth will be doing is that he will be telling how did he master. Of course, he also started from level 0 like everybody of us, right? But since he has completed all his 6 attempts and he's finally into the services, he understood why and how answer writing can be improved, why answer writing is relevant one, and how to actually improve. And I remember that he continuously told in the call also that there is a trap where students are from 300 to 350. That's a trap. Okay. And to make sure that you jump from this and you cross 400, he reached till 418, which is a very, very good GS score. So until and unless you reach that stage, you'll not be able to do very well in the mains, right? You'll not be able to get the rank eventually. So this is what differentiates rankers versus aspirants who keep on trying and keep on trying. So Siddharth needs no introduction. He's rank 118 this year. And since service allocation list is not out, but most probably he'll be joining the Indian Police Services, it was his final attempt. So this is a story of grit, perseverance, and patience, lots of patience. And you can see his in Topper Talk also on our channel, Winner Mindset. He has told his story in great detail, right? So Siddharth, you have a lot of people who are writing mains this year, people who will be writing mains, and people who have written mains before, right? So you have all kind of audience available, right? So I'll just share that screen again, and you can start after that. Okay, so I hope this is available. So Siddharth, over to you. You can actually start. This is his copy.
Hello guys, good evening to all of you. So without wasting much time, I think we should get on point. See, in mains answer writing, one of the most important things is that you have to treat each and every section separately, and you should have a separate strategy for all of them. For example, history should have different strategy, geography should have different strategy, polity, governance. Each and every section requires different kind of a focus, right? So before going into, so what where I was trapped was like, for I have given 4 mains, right? And in 2 of my attempts, I could score around 350, 370. ऐसा ही मेरा score था. After that, I made certain changes due to which I got 406 in the last attempt and 418 this time. So I'll tell you why is it important to get 400 plus. See, 450 plus, 470, 480, these scores are rare, and some of us are able to score that well. I'm not going to comment upon how to get that because there are other factors which are involved there as well. तो इसमें ऐसा करना है हमें कि हमें ये फोकस करना है कि 420 430 टाइप तो हमारा आए ही, 420 430 टाइप हमें लाना ही है स्कोर, जिससे कि अगर हम अपने ऑप्शनल में 270 270 280 स्कोर कर रहे हैं, अपने एसए में डिसेंटली 110 से 120 स्कोर कर रहे हैं, तो हमारा जो मेंस है वो ही एक डिसाइडिंग फैक्टर हो जाएगा। एंड बहुत ज्यादा इंटरव्यू पे हमें डिपेंडेंट नहीं रहना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि ये जो इंटरव्यू है इट्स वेरी सब्जेक्टिव, ठीक है। तो वी नीड टू हैव एटलीस्ट 1000 इन आवर फाइनल मार्क्स टू गेट इनटू आईएएस, ठीक है। तो इस तरीके से सोच के एक प्रैक्टिकल स्ट्रैटेजी बनाए। एंड अगर कुछ वैसा बोलते हैं ना, फॉर्च्यून फेवर्स द ब्रेव, अगर आप लड़ोगे तो क्या पता, मतलब बहुत एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डिनरी मार्क्स भी आ जाए, बट एक डिसेंट लेवल ऑफ प्रिपरेशन इज रिक्वायर्ड कि आप 420 टाइप का ले आओ, ठीक है। इसके लिए बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है कि हर सेक्शन को अपनी इंपॉर्टेंस देना है हमें। एंड इसके अलावा व्हाट वी नीड टू डू इज कि कंटेंट एनरिचमेंट और प्रेजेंटेशन पे बहुत ज्यादा फोकस होना चाहिए।
कैन आई
तो
आस्क वन क्वेश्चन सर?
हाँ, बोलिए।
सर अभी हम फर्स्ट ईयर के स्टूडेंट है सर, और सर जो हमारी जो एजुकेशन है सर वो एक नॉर्मल कॉलेज से हो रही है सर, तो कुछ प्रेस्टिजियस कॉलेजेस मैटर करता है सर यूपीएससी की प्रिपरेशन में सर?
हम लोग क्या करेंगे कि जो डाउट्स है ना उसको प्लीज थोड़ी देर बाद कर लेंगे एड्रेस। लेट मी जस्ट फर्स्ट फोकस ऑन आंसर राइटिंग, ठीक है। पहले मैं बता देता हूँ, फिर उसके बाद वी कैन टेक द डाउट्स। एक बार आप सुन लीजिए मेरी बातों को। क्या है कि कंटेंट इज वेरी मच इंपॉर्टेंट, प्रेजेंटेशन इज इंपॉर्टेंट, एंड ईच सेक्शन डिजर्व्स डिफरेंट अटेंशन एंड स्ट्रैटेजी, राइट। तो जैसे कि लेट अस स्टार्ट विद जीएस पेपर 1। तो पहला पेपर ये जो है, हिस्ट्री का एक क्वेश्चन है आपके सामने, राइट। एग्जामिन द रिलेशनशिप बिटवीन भक्ति एंड रीजनल कल्चर्स, हाउ डिड मूवमेंट अडेप्ट टू लोकल ट्रेडिशंस एंड प्रैक्टिसेस व्हाइल मेंटेनिंग इट्स कोर प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ डिवोशन एंड स्पिरिचुअलिटी। अब देखिए, इसमें कई सारी चीजें हैं। पहले तो ये जो कीवर्ड है एग्जामिन, ठीक है, इट इज वेरी मच इंपॉर्टेंट। आपको कुछ वीडियोस देख लेने चाहिए। सिविल्स डेली ने भी एड ये बनाया होगा वीडियो की एग्जामिन, डिस्कस, ऑल दीज वर्ड्स हैव different meanings, okay? So since they have different meanings, they give different tone to the answer, ठीक है। Don't write the same thing in every question, like discuss, elaborate, highlight. All of them have different meanings, and accordingly each and every point will have the depth or the width which is required, ठीक है। So like इस वाले question में see, it's a very uh, simple introduction कि भक्ति cult started in South India in 8th to 9th century AD as a socio-religious reform movement to purge Hinduism from rigidity. This is a fact, and this gives a good introduction. Then we'll move on to the next to the next part, which says relationship between bhakti and regional culture. Okay, so the culture has different parts, okay? It's about music, it's about dance, it's about food, dressing, okay? The caste system, as you can see, I have tried to cover it. Attack on caste system kaise hua, music tradition kaise evolve hua, okay? So these are some of the things in which you can talk about the relationship. So you have to address each and every part of the question. It's not like कि किसी एक को ज्यादा दे दिया। धीरे धीरे, slowly and slowly, when you will start writing the answers, you will realize that some at in some questions, not both the parts have to be given equal weightage, right? Kabhi kabhi some part has to be given a bit more weightage, and some has to be given a little bit less. And that depends upon what is the tail word, whether it's examine, whether it's highlight, or other things. Another thing which you can see in my answers, the presentation, influence on regional culture, I have boxed it up. Now they'll understand, they will have no difficulty in understanding uh, that what am I writing, okay? Further, you can see I have put example into that triangle, and every point has an example attached to it, okay? So what happens is that in answer writing, what sometimes we end up writing just the arguments. We do not need to do that, right? What we need to do is we have to write the argument first, and then we have to support it with an example which has been done here precisely, okay? So can we come down a bit? ठीक है, तो see, these are very known examples. Braj area, Meera became a saint with compositions, Payoji Maine Ram Ratan. So these are those examples which you already know, but it's about applying them. Answer writing is only about the application. So in the first part I wrote about how bhakti culture influenced regional culture, and now The second part, how it got influenced. ठीक है, so इसमें भी I have written कि influence of sects on bhakti saints, Nayanars, so वो Shaivite वाला हो गया. ठीक है, इसी तरीके से इन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ लैंग्वेज, यूज्ड वर्नाक्युलर लैंग्वेज, गॉड रीति इन वेस्ट बंगाल, बिकॉज द लैंग्वेज वाज देयर, तो उसको यूज करके भक्ति कल्चर वाज इवॉल्व. ठीक है, सो आई एड्रेस्ड बोथ द पार्ट्स इस तरीके से. सर अ बिट लोअर प्लीज. And now I am talking about the third aspect, which says कि it retained its element. ठीक है, despite the regional aspects, despite the cultural influences, there was something common, right? So like devotion, ardent belief in God, spirituality, same across the regions, जैसे शंकराचार्य का था. Let's talk about the sectional thing which I was talking about, like GS paper 1 में what I was saying was कि in history what one needs to do is, like for example in modern Indian history, if you can go to my channel, there I have shared certain value added materials. For example, in history in modern Indian history what I did was, when you read the spectrum, there are a number of boxes. Okay, in those boxes a number of views of scholars have been given. So what you need to do is note down a few of them, and then you should use them in your answers, right? For example, if it's about the economic exploitation, so RC Dutt has said that moisture sucked from India falls as rain in foreign lands. Okay, so if this is your introduction, it will give a lot of weightage to your answer, right? So these are some of the things that you can do in history. In art and culture, I had done simple two things. I had rearranged my notes, nothing special. What I did was, I prepared how a particular artifact, let's say coin, is uh, evolving across various dynasties. And then the second thing which I did was कि in one particular dynasty, how different artifacts are evolving. For example, in Mughals, the architecture, the coins, the paintings, everything, how it evolved in that particular dynasty. So the questions are being asked in that way only. In the past, you have seen it; they have asked about the palas. So these are the small uh, dynasties about which you need to prepare beforehand. For this, you can use Nitin Singhania, R.S. Sharma, Ancient Indian History. So in that way, it can help you. Society is a bit more about using the keywords. So what I did was I used the glossary which is there in the end of NCRT. Okay, so there are a number of terms are there. For example, secularization of caste in urban areas. Now you can write like caste lines are blurring in the urban areas, but that does not give that much weightage. If you write uh, secularization of caste in urban areas, या फिर secularization of caste in industries, इस तरीके का, if you use the keywords, then that is going to give a bit more weightage to your answers, right? Then geography, my optional, so I did not face so much problem here. In geography, you need to be very much technical about the terms. You cannot write fake stuff. For example, if they have asked about plate tectonics, you need to give references to the plates, to the name of the theory, to how the mantle plume is affecting the movement of like ocean interaction, ocean plate interaction, continental plate interaction, and how it is happening. You need to talk about those things. You should have good diagrams prepared beforehand. You can do this by going through the previous year questions. So in geography, for example, I was talking about the technical terms, and you need to have the diagrams prepared well before the examination. And this can be done if you go through the previous year questions and analyze what kind of questions are being asked. And you should prepare a copy of what all probable diagrams can be drawn and what all maps can be drawn. For example, the water scarcity is a major issue, and UPSC has been asking about that. So you can prepare a world map and an India specific map, and in which you can show that water crisis in high, low, medium. like where it is more, where it is less, where it is medium, and you can address that in that particular way. Okay. uh, Next, let's talk about GS paper 2. In GS paper 2, see, if you see in polity, in governance, in international relations, you should have specific strategies in that. My friend Kushali, she was the one of the highest scorers in GS2, and when I was talking to her, she told me that what worked for her was that her answers were quite broad based. If it's about polity, just don't stick to polity. Talk about a number of other issues as well, how it will impact economy, how it will impact the security, how it will impact the society in general. And you should use good amount of case studies. And governance specifically, what you can do is like what Kushali did was she talked about her personal experiences. For example, she used to do this village visit, and in those village visits, what she did was she used to interact with the people, and she got the real picture of the village life, whether or not the benefits of the MGNREGA scheme is reaching to the people, or the PM Ujjwala is working for them or not. So these kind of things, if you are going to write in a box, that is also going to have a good impact. In international relations, I'll show you my copies. In that, I have used a number of scholars, and I have tried to make it very broad based. International relations work in a number of domains. It's about culture, it's about the resources, it's about the economy, it's about the security alliances. So these are a number of ways which you have to bring it out in your IR answers, and you need to quote the experts like S. Jaishankar and former ambassadors who were there. You need to like Pax Indica, so you can pick up certain quotes and you can start doing that. Okay. In GS3, I improved my marks a lot, and one of the reasons for that was that I wrote very technical. I had a very technical language in that. For example, in economics, I linked the static part with the current part. For example, if they are asking about unemployment, I'll make sure that I'm going to use the Phillips curve. Okay, or if they are asking about inflation, how will inflation impact our economy? So you can use the Phillips curve, in which you can say that up to some extent inflation is desired, जिससे कि unemployment is less, but if it's more, तो issues create हो जाते हैं. या फिर Laffer's curve, Gini coefficient, these are some of the words which always featured in my answers, which I'll show you. I also used a number of schematics. Now, my schematics were not like that hub and spoke model. Features of Indian society, ऐसे करके spoke बना दिया and उसमें I wrote it. No, it was about how to show a sequence of events, how one particular event is related to another. So this will add further value, not just listing down things. Showing the process through schematics is very much important. Okay. Next, let's talk about environment and disaster management as well. What I did was I used very technical language, and again I used the static portion in the correct in my answers. For example, in if there is an issue of pollution of water bodies, so you should use concepts like biomagnification, bioaccumulation, eutrophication, harmful algal blooms. These are some of the words and vocabularies. If you're going to use, it is going to give a lot of authority, and they'll think that you are a well-read person. If you are saying pollution ho jayega, the fishes will die, and stuff like that, which is quite naive, it's not going to fetch you good marks. So you have to be quite vigilant. You have to use concepts like uh, these cycles. We have the ecosystem services. In disaster management as well, you need to use why the earthquakes are happening in those zones, why the tropical cyclone is happening. You need to connect it with the geography. And always in disaster management, environment and geography answers, you need to bring out the physical as well as the human aspects. It's not just about the physical aspects in geography, in which you need uh, uh, which you need to address. It's also about the human aspects. In human aspects, it's about the economy, it's about the infrastructure, it's about the society, how the poor are being impacted by the floods. So your answer should be very much broad based. It should not be constricted in a particular sense. ठीक है. Security is quite static. You need to go through any source which you find useful, वहां से value addition कर लेना, and focus on those keywords. Left wing extremism is being asked, cyber security is being asked. So you should have these notes beforehand with a lot of value addition, and there are a number of sources which you can refer, and you can go ahead and start writing those answers. Sir, can we now show those slides, please?
Yes. Which one do you want to?
Sir, GS1 ka, we can go sequentially, GS1, 2, 3, so that I can just show them whatever I have talked about.
Okay, just give me 1 second.
I'll talk about ethics, Abhi. So give an account of the, see, I have circled account, give an account. So I always paid specific attention to what the directing word is. Okay. Give an account of major geological events that have shaped the present drainage system of peninsular India. Okay. So just look at the structuring, what I have done. The peninsular drainage system has been affected by various tectonic, eustatic, and glacial events. So in the intro itself, I gave them a glimpse like what am I going to talk about, right? Now the major geological events, the tectonic event. Okay. Now you can see I have drawn a decent diagram which shows that how the water divide has come, right? I've talked about the faulting. I've talked about the Himalayan orogeny. Now you can see how structured or layered my answer is. One, tectonic events. उसमें A लिखा faulting. Faulting में Roman में one, the quaternary subsidence. Number two, उसमें Western Ghats. So this is the layering of stuff how you can do. ठीक है. See, this is the diagram, valley and valley topography because of the tertiary orogeny. I have drawn this diagram here. Then the second part was eustatic. Now I've talked about that. Then the Cretaceous lava flow. So these are the static things that you have to read. Na? And then I am addressing the next part. Peninsular rivers are unsuitable for navigation, right? So I've talked about what are the reasons about for that, and in every point you can see I have tried to give one example. Okay. And peninsular rivers, how they are suitable for HEP, I have talked about that as well, right? And there are arguments and then the example. It's not about just listing things. If you're going to list it, it's not going to give that much amount of depth to your answer. So it has to be a you have to strike a balance between the depth and the width in the number of points and how well you have to elaborate it, and it precisely depends upon the directive. For example, if they're saying highlight the reasons, so you just need to list it down, no need to explain. But then if it talks about examine, discuss, you need to talk about the other aspects in all the aspects in a bit more detail. Okay. Then the peninsular river system is facing issues due to pollution, interstate. Okay. A timely resolution is necessary. Now, here I talked about the human aspects. Okay. In human aspects, there are center state issues there. There are about there are pollution aspects. Okay. Regional development को link किया. So this is how a futuristic and a wise conclusion is also very much important, because the intro gives the first impression, but the marks comes only after the conclusion. So your intro and conclusion also need to be quite powerful, and you need to prepare it beforehand. In most of the cases, it's not possible in every case, but mains is mostly predictable, and previous year questions are getting repeated as well. So you need to go through the previous year questions and prepare themes ki kya kya पूछ रहा है, and prepare all the intro and conclusion beforehand. Sir, now can we go to GS2, please? Guys, I'd like to mention one thing, that if you are having doubts with respect to how to start your preparation and what all sources that I had referred, I'll ask you to kindly follow my channel on Telegram. I have shared a number of videos. There are a number of threads as well in which I have talked about what all sources can be used, and how to write answers, वो भी मैंने share किया है. In this, the scope of the session was how to upgrade from 350s to 400 plus. So we'll try to limit ourselves to link or name. So you just type Siddharth Srivastava AIR118. You'll find the channel SIDDHARTH Siddharth Srivastava AIR 118. If you type it on Telegram, you can find ample amount of resources and guidance there. Okay. Now, GS2 ka, we have always, in most of the cases, we know that we need to connect it with the constitution. So the question was on the concurrent list, right? The concurrent list ka importance hai ki nahi, and whether or not it's aligning with the federal spirit. Okay, so I connected it with the article. Then I talked about concurrent list against federal distribution. Now you can see the cleanliness in this particular answer, like centers intervention. I wrote an argument, then an example. Centralization, उसमें भी लिखा repugnancy. So I have talked about these things. ठीक है, concurrent list is necessary, but it is necessary. So now what this will do is that the examiner will not have to exert a lot. He's seeing कि सामने keyword है and example है. He'll just move over this page and he'll award me marks because I'm making his life very easy. So this is how you can improve your presentation, which is very much important. The content can take you so far, but it's about the visibility of the content, how good you can portray what you have written. So that's also important, and that's precisely what I want to show you through this page. ठीक है, तो इसमें भी you can see security के बारे में बात की, land acquisition. Now I connected it with the Manipur crisis, which is the current affair. It's not a current question, it's a static question, but it's about our metal, our mind, how well we are going to connect our static knowledge with our current. ठीक है, this exam is not about just the current affairs. It's a hoax that the current affairs are the most important thing, but it's not. You just have to read about the static portion, and then you need to connect it with the current aspect, which will give a lot of power to your answer. Okay. Now, because it was comment, so comment answers need to have your opinion. So in this, I have written, in my opinion, the center must consult states when legislating on concurrent lists. So Sarkaria Commission had said this thing. Okay. And residuary powers be transferred to the concurrent list. Now, the next, now I was talking about how much importance to give to each part. So can you see, if I had written half about the importance of concurrent list and half about pith and substance, the answer would have gone haywire. Okay? Now I had this particular wisdom ki pith and in pith and substance you can write only so much. So I've written only that thing, and I have given more importance to the concurrent list. Okay? The way ahead can be rationalization of the three lists to uphold the basic structure of the federalism. Okay? Makes sense. Now now it's an IR question, okay, in which I was talking about the views of the experts and how to deal with these answers on a multi-dimensional format. Okay, देखो जैसे इसमें लिखा है critically assess. Okay, now critically assess means you have to bring out the negativities more than the positivities. Okay, so like I have written, now I started it with a view of MEA S. Jaishankar. This gives a lot of weightage to my answer, right? India's engagement with multilateral institutions is in line with it. Okay. Now, assessment of engagement. Now, SARC ke baare mein I have talked about, in which I have said कि marred by India-Pakistan rivalry, interconnected region under. हाँ, अब ये देखो एस जयशंकर ने फिर से he had said something. ठीक है. Now I quoted him and then I talked about it through an example. Only 5% regional trade is there, right? Then we have talked about SCO. Sir, could you please scroll it down? ठीक है. तो उसमें भी क्या इश्यूज है एससीओ में. रशिया चाइना पाकिस्तान एक्सेस है जिसमें कि जी जिनपिंग ने ऐसा बोला. सो कैन यू सी how I'm trying to give a lot of authority by quoting certain important people, right? Effectiveness of India in decision making in multilateral institutions. हाँ, ये तो आंसर क्वेश्चन में ही दिया हुआ था, ट्रेड, क्लाइमेट चेंज, सिक्योरिटी. ओके, तो इसमें कैन यू सी positive role and shortcomings. Positive. Now, this is how I tried to structure my answer, in which I am trying to address each and every part of the question. ठीक है? And every time you can see I have given ample amount of examples. It's not like my answers are empty. ठीक है? This has to be done. An argument followed by an example, and then a powerful conclusion. Like foreign policy is about minimaxin. SS Menon has said that, and multi-alignment is a tool for that. Okay? So this wisdom you'll slowly and slowly develop when you keep on writing the answers. And Civilsdaily has also been doing that. When I came to the head office and we did that session, so sir was telling me that we are trying to revolutionize how the answer writing is being done, and one-to-one mentorship is very much important. And I think it's very much important that someone is there to hold our hands. So try to write a lot of answers and get it evaluated by your mentors, and this is the way which you are which is going to help you. So we can go to GS3 now, please.
Can you, Siddharth, can you also send me the Telegram group link? I'll share with the people. A lot of them been asking.
Yes, sir. Saket, sir, I have shared with you the link on WhatsApp.
Okay, good.
Now, coming to GS3, as I was talking about the scholars, the static portion, and how well we can integrate these, what you say, the schematics. It's not about the hub and spoke model. Okay? Now you can see how one event is leading to another. Income inequality is leading to food budget squeeze. It is leading to product loss and productivity. Income inequality leads to low human capital, low skill labor market, polarization, poverty trap. And I've given an example as well. Yeah, Becky, gig workers, denial of subjectivity. So can you see the number of keywords which have been used? I have used a number of keywords in देखो यहाँ पे स्टिग्लिट्स के बारे में, जोसेफ स्टिग्लिट्स, he is an economist. Inclusive growth के बारे में he has said कि it's about the fourfold increase in these four type of capital. ठीक है? So this is how things are going to happen. This is how you should write a particular answer. Now, to give an authority to my answer, I have quoted OECD. कि according to OECD, inclusive growth is this. It's not according to Siddharth Srivastava. Okay? So this is how you bring a lot of authority to your answer, through the keywords, through the scholars, through these schematics and examples. So can we please scroll down it a bit? Income disparity and inclusive growth. Injustice anywhere, threat to justice. So in my answer writing, I was quite fond of using these quotes, which can be used in the body, which can be used in the conclusion as well. You can easily see it's packed with a number of content enrichment. I've talked about Thomas Piketty. These are good scholars to be used. In the conclusion as well, I've talked about inclusive growth can be promoted if expenditure is done in place, sector factors, production, which poor uses. And T. Palanival has been a scholar who has been leading that. So this is one of the things that I used to do. This is how you enrich your answers, and this is how you use your visibility, and you show that you are a well-read person, and it can fetch you good marks. Okay. Next, the next question is science and tech ka question. This is also so I did talk about science and technology. Science and technology also needs to be quite technical in its language. You have to cram it up. In my fifth attempt, what I did was I did not learn about the payloads which were there on James Webb telescope. So I ended up writing a very generic answer. But this time I made sure that all the satellites, whichever are there, or they are being sent into the space, I ensured that I will learn all the payloads which are there on them. For example, Chandrayaan was asked, so I crammed it up and I wrote it there. Okay, so it gave a lot of weightage to my answer. यहाँ पे इट्स अ वेरी सिंपल क्वेश्चन, क्रिटिकली असेस. सो क्रिटिकली असेस तो उसमें नेगेटिव वाला पार्ट हमें ज्यादा बताना होगा थोड़ा सा, तो उसके बारे में विल टॉक. ठीक है. एंड पॉजिटिव पार्ट के बारे में भी विल टॉक. हाउ कैन दिस ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन बी अचीव विदाउट डिस्प्लेसिंग एग्जिस्टिंग लाइवलीहुड्स. ठीक है. सर कैन वी जस्ट स्क्रॉल इट डाउन अ बिट. इसमें देखो मैंने इकोनॉमिक सर्वे को भी लास्ट पेज पे यूज कर लिया था. ठीक है. जहां पे भी मुझे लग रहा है कहीं से भी मेरे पास कुछ भी है, आई हैव यूज्ड इट. फॉर एग्जांपल इन दिस इट कैन बी डन विदाउट लॉस ऑफ जॉब्स. So labor intensive, I have written that Lewisian point. This concept was used way back in economic survey in 2017-18. ठीक है. So these are the terms which I have been using. Universal basic income, Hyderabad का एक case study था economic survey में, they had talked about it. And again PM Modi का quote use करके I ended this answer. So these are some of the things that I have been doing. And now we can go to ethics, please, sir. So guys, let me start with ethics. People have this so ethics के बारे में whenever we talk about it, we always think about it as a standalone paper which needs not to be connected with the other parts of the syllabus. But let me tell you, your answers will become very bland if you are going to do that. You have to connect all the parts of the syllabus with the ethics paper, and only then you can score well. I've scored consistently decent marks in ethics, so my strategy might be okay. Last year I scored 117, this time 119. Okay, so the reason which I can cite for that is I use a number of quotes. First of all, you should prepare 20-25 quotes which can be used in your answers. Secondly, there are good number of examples. ठीक है. The examples which you can see, those examples are there on my channel. ठीक है. So it's basically a prototype how you can prepare your examples across various domains, like from history, from administration, from polity, from sports. These things can be done. So my standard format was argument and then example, and then start with a quote, end with a quote. Okay. I also used a number of data as well from GS 1, 2, 3. Whatever I knew, I used a lot of data, a lot of examples. I did not solely treat it as an ethics paper कि जिस सिर्फ इसमें philosophy आ रही है. And इसमें I used to try to map it with certain values, with certain scholars in all my answers. So उससे भी क्या है कि like in previous papers also I talked about, link your static portion with your in your particular examples. ठीक है. In a particular points you need to link it. The static वाला portion है उसको link करना ही पड़ेगा. तो इसमें without political will and discipline to enforce probity and governance, a state will struggle to eliminate the persistent issue of corruption. तो इसमें देखो political will के बारे में बात कर लिया. And then I'll talk about discipline to enforce probability. Persistent issue of corruption I have talked about कि क्या क्या persistent issue है. इसमें I have given a number of points कि क्या क्या है. To act as a change agent, then to bring consensus. Sir, can we please scroll it down? इसमें देखो model code of conduct, frame laws like Lokpal to act to ensure probity. Discipline to enforce. तो इसमें देखो I have talked about By Nations Fail, ऐसे मोगलू की book है. So I have talked about that. So we need CAG, CVC, CBI. We always talk about the 3 C's. Enforcement of law, उसमें भी discipline होना चाहिए. Like Prevention of Corruption Act to act as a deterrent. Example, SC Gupta Coal Secretary conviction. However, more is needed. कि इसमें और भी चाहिए. Societal attitude is also needed. We need technology as well. And see, I have ended with a quote कि John F. Kennedy has talked about no responsibility more fundamental than to provide highest order of ethical governance. ठीक है? So this is how we roll in ethics basically. फिर इसके बाद this was a case study. What people generally do is they bring about the facts of the case first. Facts of the case में पूरा लंबा सा बताएंगे, then stakeholders का अलग से बताएंगे. So I'll just suggest try to understand the essence of the case study, and then what you can do is कि उसी को introduction में लिख दो. For example, let us say कि सेक्सुअल हरासमेंट के ऊपर है या पोजीशन ऑफ वुमेन इन सोसाइटी के बारे में है. So what you need to do is you can cite a particular data. For example, if NCRB has come up with the data, you can start with it as well. According to NCRB, this is the status of crime against women, which has been shown in the recent survey. इस तरीके से you started. ठीक है, इसमें तो खैर stakeholders पूछा था तो I have written about it. Then the ethical issues involved. So what I did was to give a good structure, because I have recognized the stakeholders, even if you are not writing the number of stakeholders and if it has not been asked, and if the ethical issues have been asked to you, you recognize the stakeholders and according to them what are the ethical issues involved, वो वहां पे देख लो. Sir, could you please scroll it? यहाँ पे देखो पुलिस का आई हैव रिटन, देन वेंडर्स का आई हैव रिटन, गवर्नमेंट का क्या एथिकल इश्यूज है, राइट? तो उसमें भी आई हैव ट्राइड टू ब्रिंग आउट दोस कीवर्ड्स व्हिच आर देयर, लाइक संस्कृताइजेशन ऑफ करप्शन हो गया, राइट? इसके अलावा सॉफ्ट कल्चर गुरनार में डालने इसके बारे में बात की है. तो आई हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट ऑल दीज थिंग्स. These are the keywords which should come in your case study as well. ठीक है? Then the course of action as the SP. ठीक है? So what will I do with respect to the police staff? देखो, now इसमें can you see I have again used these things. Flow chart I have used. In-house inquiry. If culprit उसका yes है. Flow chart आपने देखा होगा. उसमें ऐसे करते हैं कि if found culprit yes suspend, no verify. फिर अगर वेरीफाई किया still is culprit yes उसको कर दो, no then you leave that person. So this is the kind of mindset that you are showing. You are very much sequential in your thought process, like you know what has to be done, and when you will become the SP you will take these things into cognizance that it will not be a knee jerk reaction कि culprit सुन लिया कि हाँ culprit है, someone has said that he's a culprit, knee jerk reaction suspend him. No, you have to verify it. ठीक है? Then vigilance to avoid habitual offense, body cameras. I have given an example here. So it's not like कि अपना ही देना है. अगर कहीं पे कुछ best practice हो रही, कुछ case study हो रहा है, you have to talk about it. ठीक है? Vendors के बारे में देखो, customer is the king. These are very generic quotes which we know but we don't use it. ठीक है? ऐसा किया. अब देखो इसमें शॉर्ट टर्म में किया तो लॉन्ग टर्म में फिर आई हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट इट. ठीक है? लॉन्ग टर्म मेजर्स व्हाट वी कैन टेक. सो प्लीज स्क्रॉल इट ऑन इफ यू कुड प्लीज. तो उसमें देखो जैसे सीसीटीवी इंस्टॉलेशन, उसमें एग्जांपल दिया दिल्ली मेट्रो का, कम्युनिटी पुलिसिंग में मेरा पाईबी का था, ग्रीवांस रिड्रेसल. ईच एंड एवरी पॉइंट हैज गॉट इट्स एग्जांपल which is giving a lot of authority to that. ठीक है? तो the above way forward tries to strike the golden mean to provide एथिकल गवर्नेंस. यहाँ पे गोल्डन मीन जो स्कॉलर का है उसको भी मैंने आई थिंक एरिस्टोटल का है उसको मैंने यूज कर लिया. ठीक है? तो दीज आर सर्टेन वेज इन विच यू कैन डू दीज थिंग्स. ठीक है? तो आई थिंक आई हैव ट्राइड टू कवर ईच एंड एवरी पेपर एंड ऑल द सेक्शंस कि उसमें क्या क्या करना है. ठीक है? सर, सो शुड वी discuss those previous
Yes. Yeah, do you want me to share?
Please sir. So can you just see the question? PYQ Mains 2023. Do you, so ये bouncer questions हैं. Do you think marriage as a sacrament is losing its value in modern India? ठीक है? Now you can be taken aback कि what kind of a question it is, but if you think closely enough, you have enough content to write this answer. Now I'll show you how to maneuver even with the least amount of content that you are having, because you are reading enough and you will be able to write an answer. So don't go on chasing for each and every question. These are some of the bouncer questions, but still you can very well answer them with a limited content. I'll show you how. So whenever we read society, there is this section in syllabus which talks about salient features of the Indian society. In those salient features, when you will see, one of the important salient features is marriage. Okay, so you can start with that. Marriage is one of the salient features of our Indian society, and it has been undergoing change in the present scenario. Simple enough, right? Now you support the statement. Okay, do you think? Yes, I think that it is lose in value. But how it is shown? So kahin na kahin, when you will read the society wala current affairs, wahan pe there is a section in which they talk about divorces and separation. So you will be having one data. You can show it. Divorce rates and separation is rising. Same sex marriage को legal recognition नहीं मिला है. That's why it is losing the sacrament value. इसके अलावा inter religion, inter caste issues हैं. इस वजह से भी people are afraid of getting married. So they are preferring more and more live-in. इसके अलावा लिव-इन रिलेशंस को भी रिकॉग्निशन मिल गया है. ठीक है. And also you can talk about the international influences. So can you see I'm skimming through various parts of the syllabus. Like पहले society के बारे में बात किया, then I talked about the legal aspects, then I talked about the international relations से related to international influences. International influences में Twitter से connected हो, social media से connected हो, there you are witnessing कि marriage is not at all that important. ठीक है. Then about the economics of it, if you're getting married, so mostly people get married, it's to have a child, to bear a child. So but it's becoming a bit more difficult. So people are avoiding marriages. There's a theorist, Arsene Diomont, वो बोलता है कि the birth rates will decrease as and when the people are going to go for more career oriented mindset. ठीक है. तो इस तरीके की चीजें, we know all these things and we just need to put it on the paper. So we knew about the positive aspects. Now going about these negative aspects, we can talk about कि कैसे in the same sex marriage वाला case government का counter argument क्या था. We can talk about that. Then we can talk about कि legal provisions हैं इसको करने के लिए, मैरिज को सैक्रेमेंट बनाने के लिए. स्पेशल मैरिज एक्ट हो गया. फिर हमारे फैमिली कोड्स है उस सैक्रेमेंट बॉन्ड को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए. ठीक है. और इवन अभी भी इंडिया में पीपल आर गोइंग फॉर अ लिव इन रिलेशनशिप सो एज टू then marry at a later stage. ठीक है. So you can talk about these basic things. ठीक है. And उसके बाद conclusion में you can talk about कि नहीं अभी भी it remains as a sacrament bond between people. And इसमें एक और point like I'll tell you about एक case था केरला में, ट्रांसजेंडर पर्सन और एक मेल पर्सन के बीच में मैरिज हुई थी. ठीक है. सो उसको भी रिकॉग्निशन दिया गया. तो ये दिस इज ऑल्सो शोइंग कि पीपल वांट टू गेट मैरिड. ठीक है. सो इन दीज वेज वी कैन शो हाउ मैरिज एज अ सैक्रेमेंट इज नॉट लूजिंग इट्स वैल्यू. सो डू यू थिंक? तो एंड में अपना ओपिनियन दे दो इसमें. ठीक है. इसी तरह जैसे हमारा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन है कंपेयर एंड कॉन्ट्रास्ट. सो व्हाट इज द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ द डायरेक्टिव्स लाइक आई टॉक्ड अबाउट कि डायरेक्टिव कंपेयर मींस you have to bring about the similarities. Contrast means कि क्या differences हैं वो बताओगे आप. ठीक है. तो जैसे compare में हमने बात की तो introduction, let's talk about the introduction in this कि ब्रिटेन और इंडिया में historical linkage है. ठीक है. There was a historical linkage and Indian constitution has been profoundly impacted by the British मतलब British governance and administrative aspects. And although there are certain similarities but there are differences as well. तो उसके बाद comparison में लिखोगे कैसे privileges है, flexibility in amending the constitution है, कैसे जो conventions हैं. And then उसके बाद you can talk about the contrast कि ours is a limited constitution, उनका unwritten है. Our Supreme Court is quite strong. The basic structure is there. So these are the things which put limit on the parliamentary sovereignty, ठीक है. And उसके बाद वही conclusion में we can talk about कि the parliament represents the consciousness of the people, हमारा representative democracy है. तो उसके लिए क्या जरूरत है कि किस तरीके से एक होना चाहिए, तीनों विंग्स में एक कोऑर्डिनेशन होना चाहिए. तो इस तरीके का यू कैन टॉक अबाउट, राइट. देन नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन की स्टेटस ऑफ डिजिटाइजेशन. ये जो स्टेटस ऑफ डिजिटाइजेशन है, इसमें व्हाट यू कैन डू इज कि आप एक ही डायरेक्शन में, इट्स लाइक कि यू विल थिंक ओनली इन वन पर्टिकुलर डायरेक्शन. ठीक है, कि स्टेटस ऑफ डिजिटाइजेशन में विल थिंक अबाउट जस्ट द ई गवर्नेंस एस्पेक्ट्स और व्हाट यू से लाइक इकोनॉमिक्स का ही सोचोगे. बट देयर आर सो मेनी थिंग्स लाइक ज्योग्राफी का, जैसे सिलेबस के हिसाब से आओ. हिस्ट्री का तो चलो हटा दो. इफ यू गो फॉर द सोसाइटी, तो सोसाइटी से रिलेटेड तुम्हारा वल्नरेबल सेक्शन सोशल जस्टिस है, तो स्कीम्स में बता दो कि वेयर ऑल द डिजिटाइजेशन इज बीइंग यूज्ड. ज्योग्राफी में आओगे तो वहां पे यू कैन टॉक अबाउट द रूरल वर्सेस अर्बन डिवाइड. इन द पॉलिटी वाला सेक्शन यू कैन टॉक अबाउट द ऑफिसेस, अबाउट द ई गवर्नेंस, ई ऑफिस के बारे में, ई विधानसभा के बारे में बात करो. इसके अलावा लाइक इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस इफ यू वांट यू कैन स्किप, देन यू गो टू द इकोनॉमिक्स वाला सेक्शन. तो कितना ज्यादा डिजिटाइजेशन एंड पेमेंट हो गया है. डिजास्टर मैनेजमेंट में देयर इज अ लॉट ऑफ इम्प्रूवमेंट बिकॉज वी आर बीइंग गिवन द एडवाइजरी कि किस तरीके से हमारा होना, मतलब थंडर स्टॉर्म आने वाला है, ट्रॉपिकल साइक्लोन आने वाला है, तो हमारे फोन्स पे ऑलरेडी आ जाता है. इन सिक्योरिटी एज वेल देयर इज EFIR. तो ये सारी चीजें एक तरीके से आपने स्टेटस बता दिया, ठीक है, इन वेरी शॉर्ट. बिकॉज व्हाट you know, you don't need to elaborate it. This is the importance of the directive word. Just list them down. Like it's 150 words का है, तो फर्स्ट पेज के like half a page और 75% वाले पे ये कर दो. Now then go for the examine the problem. Now यहाँ पे थोड़ा डिटेल्ड लिखना होगा. Just write an argument, then the example, and suggest improvements. Suggest बोला है, then again it's a lower order keyword है. इसमें भी you need to write, just list it down कि क्या तुम्हारा वो है. तो एग्जामिन में पॉलिसी इश्यूज हैं, इकोनॉमिक्स है, साइंस एंड टेक उतना ज्यादा डेवलप नहीं है, ह्यूमन रिसोर्सेज में रेजिस्टेंस है, एटीट्यूडनल इश्यूज हैं, एथिक्स से आ गया. इंस्टीट्यूशनल लेवल पे हमारा बिजनेस प्रोसेस रीस्ट्रक्चरिंग नहीं हो पा रहा है. देन इन द सजेशंस यू कैन गिव अ नंबर ऑफ सजेशंस कि कैसे हम लोग इंटरनेशनल कोऑपरेशन के थ्रू कर सकते हैं, या फिर कुछ बेस्ट प्रैक्टिसेस हैं कहाँ कहाँ पर के NGOs का यूज कर सकते हैं. तो these are some of the ways in which you can say. And then conclusion में like PM मोदी का वहां पे you could have seen in biotechnology वाले में this tech is this decade is techade, ठीक है, इस तरीके का. and digitization is going to be the game changer for that, या फिर it will be an shot in the arm. इस तरीके का you can use, and then you can conclude your answers. So I think more or less I've tried to tell you how to upgrade your answers, and you can maybe jump from the trap which is there, 370s से लेकर के 380s से लेकर के to maybe 400 plus 420.
Yeah. Great. I have just like rarely. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Rarely I found someone who could like your understanding of what UPSC really requires. It's just another level. Like the way you are explaining कि ये क्वेश्चन में ये एंगल है, ऐसे लिखना है, वैसे लिखना है. Has it come to you after like so many attempts, or was it like it's like how did you evolve this understanding कि यार मेंस की precise demand ये है?
Sir, what happened was in my first three attempts, I did not have a good understanding. In my fourth attempt, I started solving the previous year questions, and उसके अलावा जो syllabus था, I tried to honor these. These are the holy grails basically. And when I understood these things, I started to do that. But fourth attempt, unfortunately, I could not get through my prelims. So यही issue था, and I did a lot of answer writing practice. Even fifth attempt, sixth attempt, में every day between the prelims and mains, I have written extensively in the morning 1.5 hours and in the evening 1.5 hours. So that gave a lot of fillip to my understanding, and I had the support of good mentors, which precisely Civilsdaily is also all about. So I think the students should repose their trust in your mentors, and it's not about blindly following it, because कई बार ऐसा होता है कि मेरे भी mentors, they used to rebuke me and say things to me, but it's not about taking it to your heart, but working in a very constructive way. So यही है.
Yeah, because I'm telling you again the same thing. I keep talking to a lot of rankers, but itni comprehensive understanding with lot of depth. Because the way you are explaining कि इसमें ये लगता है, ऐसे लिखना है, ये यूज होगा, I think it is coming from lot of conviction कि मैंने एग्जाम समझ लिया है, and probably that has grown over the years, right? कि
Yes sir, yes
अभी
sir.
आप तो इट्स लाइक योर सेकंड नेचर नाउ, मुझे पता है यूपीएससी में क्या लिखना है. बिकॉज अभी जो आप पीवाईक्यू का भी समझा रहे थे, बिकॉज जैसे मैरिज वाला है, I don't think like you can trace it back. Of course, you can trace it back to some books or something, right? Content के लिए, but eventually you develop that understanding कि मैं कुछ तो लिख ही दूंगा, which will match the requirement of
Yes sir.
UPSC, right? 5 6 4 नंबर आ जाएगा, even if you have not read it or prepared it.
Yes
So
sir.
yeah, I think the whole webinar was based on simple thing कि 300 350 में अभी कुछ नहीं हो रहा है. Like 400 प्लस लाना इज लाइक नॉन नेगोशिएबल. आई थिंक व्हेन यू वर टॉकिंग टू मी ऑन कॉल, तभी भी आपने यही बोला था कि 400 तो अभी मतलब आना ही चाहिए, राइट, फॉर अ रैंक और एटलीस्ट टू क्वालिफाई द ओवरऑल प्रोसेस.
Yes
तो
sir.
if we have to summarize for everyone, what are those mistakes that you made in your first 3 attempts that if a beginner is listening today, ओवरऑल अगर आप समराइज करोगे आपने जो भी बताया पिछले 30 40 मिनट्स में, इफ समवन इज टेकिंग नोट इन देयर नोटबुक राइट नाउ कि भैया ये तो फाड़ के सामने लगा लो अपने डेस्क के मेंस के बारे में, राइट, व्हाट शुड दे राइट डाउन इन देयर नोटबुक? कौन से वो 3 4 पॉइंट होंगे जो आप बिल्कुल मतलब यार ये तो मत करना, ये वाली गलती है, इन 4 5 चीजों का ध्यान रखना? व्हाट विल यू से?
So first of all, my advice is go through the syllabus very thoroughly. ठीक है? And syllabus को break down करना is very important. Now, in this, there are a lot of, I don't want to take names of platforms, but there are a number of platforms which are trying to demystify the syllabus for you, like कैसे कैसे questions पूछे जा रहे हैं. Secondly, what I will say is that you go through the previous year questions, because these will become your guardrails, and you'll realize that इसके beyond हमें जाना ही नहीं है. You don't need to go beyond those things. So just, my dad used to tell these things to me in my first attempt itself, but I did not pay attention to him. So, but when I realized it myself, it helped me a lot. So previous year questions and the syllabus, it's very much important. Third, what I would like to say is that it's not just about the content, collecting the content. You can memorize only so much. Okay? You should develop the understanding and the wisdom to use it at the right place. For example, sir, I had 50 to 60 examples, and I used to use it across all the papers, even in the optional as well. So that is very much important. You should have good examples which should be used, because the same person is not going to check GS1 and GS2. है ना?
Yeah.
So it's very important to have those high quality examples ready with you, which you can use it again and again across papers. And fourth would be to understand what that particular keyword and directive is saying. Because let's say if they are saying highlight, we just need to list it down, and our life becomes so easy in these kind of questions. Like if it's a 10 marker, and we need to write write it in 7 minutes. If it's highlight, we can complete it in 5 minutes as well, because if it's an easy question, we'll just list it down fatafat, and it will be very easy for us to do it. But then if it's examined, then we need to reduce the number of points, and then we have to write it in a particular more depth. So these are some of the things which I think that the students should be doing, and focus on you have to focus on all the things. ऐसा नहीं है कि सिर्फ आंसर राइटिंग कर ले, mindless answer writing कर रहे हैं. Because if you're going for mindless answer writing, then you'll not address what is the key demand of the question. For example, if you are in the first 15-20 days, what you can do is you can first brainstorm and think what needs to be written. When you develop that wisdom, then you go to another level कि वहां पे आप ये करना शुरू कर दो कि you start writing it within the time. So I think these are some of the things that people can do.
Okay. And when you're telling about directives, examine, highlight, all these things, right? Is the goal कि आप बहुत ही highly relevant answer लिखो, whatever is question demanding? That is the goal, right? कि अगर मैंने एग्जामिन का डायरेक्टिव क्रैक कर लिया, मैं जो आंसर लिखूंगा वो बहुत ही रिलेवेंट होगा. बेसिकली आई एम राइटिंग व्हाट इज द एग्जामिनर डिमांडिंग मी टू राइट, राइट?
Yes,
तो
yes.
तो डायरेक्टिव को समझना ही एक ही वेरिएबल है रिलेवेंसी बढ़ाने का, या फिर और भी तरीके हैं?
नहीं सर,
बिकॉज अगर मैं can I add, so second would be the example. So were you making a list of examples क्या when you were preparing? which a
yes,
repository था? Yeah.
Over the years, I have had a lot of examples, a lot of books, quotes. These were with me. So the advantage was the time with me because I had a lot of time.
Okay.
So I had I basically remember those quotes abhi bhi, those datas. So I have read them so many times ना कि 4-5 साल का डेटा है मेरे पास basically in my mind, and it's like कि now I can write any answer because of with a good content. And as far as that directive is concerned, it's not just about the directive. You need to understand the essence. Yes, this is one of the things which I missed. Ki write what is asked. Don't write what you know. That's the most stupid thing to do, because if you're not, I have seen a number of copies of toppers who might have not written so much content rich answer, but their relevance factor was very high. They just wrote the arguments and they addressed the question, and that was very much important. That has to be done at any cost.
Yeah, I think that's the whole thing, right? Like these people, like including you, some of the rankers, they're just able to understand exam better. Probably it comes from multiple times of attempting. I don't know. And
Yes,
the
sir.
like you, I mean, that is the only edge. If I'm attempting, you are qualifying, I'm not qualifying. The only thing, because you understand कि लिखना क्या है भाई, it doesn't matter. And I think in naivety, like initially beginners जो होते हैं, a lot of time they just end up like they write information rather than impactful answer or original answer. कि भाई information है लिख दो, right? And I think those are the answers that only reach you probably 300 350. But अगर आप बहुत ही original impactful answer लिखोगे तो 400 plus की journey है. Cool. I think we have spent 50 minutes. Let's just last 5 to 10 minutes. Just let's take few questions if someone is, and then we'll wrap up. Folks, please ask very specific questions. Don't ask generic questions like how to prepare for UPSC. And if you have those questions, there will be a link in the chat. आप उस पे click करके we'll connect with you and we'll try to answer those questions. But for now, please ask questions around GS mains papers. If there is something that Siddharth have not covered, then please ask. Where to get example? I think he was over the years he was making these repository of examples. Am I correct, Siddharth? You're adding.
Sir, I have shared certain sample notes on my channel, sir. I'll just share the link in the chat box.
Yeah, great. He is sharing the link in the chat of his Telegram. You'll be able to find it there. You can just go there. Can we use, Swati is asking, can we use optional paper knowledge and terminology in GS? I mean, of course, it depends ki overlapping hai ki nahi, optional or GS ka, right? Were you able to do so? Were you able to leverage your optional in GS?
Certainly, sir. I used to do it for geography, environment, and disaster management, and even in the ethics paper. Like there are certain things like ecofeminism हो गया, Gaianism हो गया. We read about these things in geography as well. And there are certain geographers like Griffith Taylor who talks about stop and go determinism, in which he says that man can act as a traffic policeman, and he can stop and he can stop the traffic only, and traffic is nature basically. He can stop the traffic for some time only, but it's inevitable that it's going to take its own flow. So these are some of the things and examples which I used to use from my geography knowledge.
Okay. I have two questions. One is, what is a good number or a score out of 10 and out of 15, including in mock test. तो if when you were writing mocks, आपका कितना आता था out of 10 and 15 per questions average?
Sir, out of 10, because in the past 2 years I was writing good answers, so mostly sir 5 रहता था मेरा.
ठीक है. और
Out of
15
10,
वाले में?
15 वाले में 7.5 types.
ठीक है. So that's like okay. ठीक है. And have you spent time talking about current affairs strategy for mains today?
Sir,
Were you able
sorry.
to? Did you talk about current affairs strategy for mains today in this session?
No, sir, I did not.
So a lot of people are asking if you can just spend like 2 minutes. कि आपका mains का क्या strategy?
Sir, the thing is that a number of teachers and institutes are coming up with these current affairs classes. So there was one sir in one of the institutes which I ardently have followed since 4 to 5 years. It's quite famous. People can search him. And इसके अलावा there is one institute which releases the compilation of the whole year. So what I did was कि उनका जो सर का current affairs का classes था, that was my basic resource because it was quite crisp. And on top of that, what I did was कि उस particular जो booklet है, जो compilation है 1 year की, उसमें से I used to pick up the relevant stuff, and that was very fast. For example, I'll tell you. If I take up environment, what I'll do is I'll just go through it in 4 to 5 hours, and I'll prepare 2 to 3 page notes. Just that's it. Because I had that wisdom ki what needs to be put into my notes. So I was a big fan of these last minute revision notes, and every year I used to prepare them. They were separately prepared. So usme only value added material was there, because anyways I can write the generic stuff. तो जो भी diagrams हो गए वो तो I have shared those things on my channel. People can just go there and have a glimpse कि कैसे कैसे बनाना है उसको.
Yeah. Folks, I think Siddharth has put the link in the chat. Please scroll up and join the channel. And I'll also email everyone after the webinar. Did you ever have in these 3-4 attempts the issues with completing the paper, like speed, answer writing speed? Did you struggle, or you were like naturally able to complete paper?
Sir,
बहुत सारे बच्चे पूछ रहे हैं कि मैंने काफी टेस्ट लिख लिए हैं फिर भी मेरे से होता नहीं है, 3.5 घंटे लगता है, all those things.
हाँ. तो सर मेरे साथ ये था कि इनिशियली आई डिड यूज टू सफर विद these things, but in the main exam, what happened was before entering into the examination hall, I wrote 2 answers to ensure that my hands are free. तो एक तो वहां का
मतलब एग्जाम के दिन, अब एग्जाम के दिन ऐसे?
हाँ, एग्जाम के दिन just before entering the examination.
It's like a warm up. It's like a warm up.
I used to write मतलब पेपर 1 जैसे GS पेपर 1 के पहले half an hour before that I used to write 2 answers very fast, and this was my mindset कि एकदम लिखना है बहुत तेज चाहे जो हो जाए. पागलों जैसे
आप you're in the zone then, आप लिख के गए तो you're in the zone की.
Talking to no one, just writing my answers and then rushing into the examination hall and start writing it like in a mad way. And even before, because practice हो गई है paper 1 में first shift में, but still I used to write and go again in that in the GS paper 2 वाला, because एक fatigue set in कर जाता है, तो वो वाला खुद को force करने के लिए. बाकी इसमें ये था कि सर like I talked about highlight, examine, ये सारी चीजें it helped me a lot, because GS में the questions are not that higher level. Critically analyze, critically evaluate, ये सारे कम आते हैं. What, how, highlight, elaborate, illustrate, these kind of questions are more, so you don't need to add a lot of depth into those answers. तो उतना सर उसमें time लगता नहीं था, तो I understood what needs to be written. And sir एक और चीज है, intro conclusion was pre-prepared. That helped so much. That was
so was it like topic wise? कैसे किया था आपने intro? Syllabus wise topic कैसे?
For example in Lakshmikant, static ही पूछता है mostly तो पॉलिटी के पेपर में. It is a like mirage, people think कि नहीं करंट से पूछता है, but we can see कि हर साल इतना सारा स्टैटिक ही पूछता है, and we don't revise लक्ष्मीकांत. तो लक्ष्मीकांत like उठाया, फेडरलिज्म उठाया, तो सर उसका इंट्रोडक्शन पता था कि according to Granville, Austin और Ivor Jennings, इंडियन फेडरलिज्म में sui generis, या ऐसे करके कुछ तो बना लिया एंड उसका कंक्लूजन डिसाइड कर लिया। कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के बारे में तो ट्रांसफॉर्मेटिव कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन वाज इन न्यूज, तो BN राव का क्या व्यू था, ये था। तो सर वो सारा इंट्रोडक्शन एंड कंक्लूजन वाज प्री प्रिपेयर्ड, क्योंकि आई न्यू कि स्टैटिक ही पूछता है मोस्टली। तो उस तरीके से आई हैड प्रिपेयर्ड द इंट्रो कंक्लूजन सेक्शन वाइज एंड टॉपिक वाइज, इट वाज देयर विद मी। तो टाइम नहीं लगता था, जैसे ही आया तुरंत इंट्रो लिखा, because people spend a lot of time in writing intro and conclusion, what I feel.
Yeah. And what will you say about using flowcharts, diagram? Was it a part of your, like, ये कुछ कॉन्शियस स्ट्रेटजी थी कि मैं करूंगा यूज, या फिर अगर नेचुरली ऑर्गेनिकली आ रहा है किसी क्वेश्चन में लिखने को, या तो ही करूंगा यूज? और वाज इट लाइक कॉन्शियसली, नहीं नहीं इससे मार्क्स बढ़ते हैं तो कर डायग्राम बनाते हैं चलो?
सर मेरा ये था कि what I feel is कि this exam is not about overdoing anything. जहां जरूरत है वहां लगाओ, यही था कि wherever I felt that it's needed, I'll do it. Or sometimes it was consciously done to break the monotony of the answers. For specifically in ethics case studies, what I used to do, like first case study I wrote in a bland manner, like simple text लिख दिया। नेक्स्ट वाले में I'll make a flow chart, फिर ऐसे उसको alternate कर दिया। कहीं पे सर बॉक्सेस बना दिए, लाइक वी कीप ऑन राइटिंग एग्जांपल्स सिंपल सा, बट कहीं पे बॉक्स बना के, जैसे इकोनॉमिक सर्वे में बॉक्सेस बनाते हैं तो इट अट्रैक्ट्स आवर अटेंशन, सो आई यूज्ड टू मेक बॉक्सेस एंड इन दोस बॉक्सेस आई यूज्ड टू एलैबोरेट अ पर्टिकुलर केस स्टडी, सो दैट यूज्ड टू मेक अ लॉट ऑफ सेंस। तो ये कभी-कभी कॉन्शियसली आई यूज्ड टू डू दीस काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स।
Got it. I think we are done with the question. If there are any other question, folks, we have last 2 minutes. We'll take one more questions. Please write if we haven't covered anything already. I think he has already answered point wise कि beginners को क्या गलतियां नहीं करनी चाहिए. So, have you talked about note making for mains, Siddharth?
The note making का I have talked about those things in my other sessions. I think काफी depth में I have talked about those.
So please check his sessions on YouTube. I think he has done at other places. Current affairs notes. He has discussed NCRTs. What do you think about NCRTs, ARC reports?
So these are very important resources. NCRTs are important, like geography में तो है ही, इतने अच्छे diagrams हैं वहाँ पे, ठीक है। इसके अलावा like मेरा art and culture का जो मैंने notes बनाया था, तो वो डायनेस्टी का पर्टिकुलर कैसे कैसे आर्ट एंड कल्चर वेरी कर रहा था, तो आई यूज्ड द ओल्ड एनसीईआरटी ओनली। आई एम फॉरगेटिंग द नेम, शर्मा, व्हाट्स द नेम, RS शर्मा, आई यूज्ड दैट। तो वहां से आई यूज्ड इट, वहां से नोट्स बनाया। तो इवन लाइक फॉर इकोनॉमिक्स जो स्टैटिक पोर्शन था, आई यूज्ड एनसीईआरटीज ओनली फॉर दैट, कि लैफर्स कर्व, जिनी कोएफिशिएंट है, इस तरीके की कुछ चीजें हैं, स्टैटिक को लिंक करना है। तो इट्स नॉट अबाउट reading any book from cover to cover for me. It's about picking the best elements from whatever source you have.
Got it.
Yes, sir.
Cool. I think just this is the last question. I think we'll merge all 3 questions. One is, I mean, I understand these probably things which are very subjective. So how many hours did you study? How many mock tests did you attempt? These are like age-old, typical rankers questions that people want answers for, right? And like, how many tests did you attempt? And did it change over the number of attempts that you've given? That's it. That's the question that people is asking. That's the last question.
Sir, तो hours का it's like कि there are certain non-negotiables in our life. So my non-negotiable was my focus on my physical and mental health. वो हटा दिया, my sleep हटा दिया। इसके अलावा I used to study only because my bosses were also good because I was a working professional. तो I used to get leave for my exam. तो जब भी वो leave होता था, I just used to study and nothing else. Just इसके अलावा focus on my physical fitness and sleep, nothing else. I spent no, खाना खाता था तो मैं भी Netflix देख लेता था for 10 to 15 minutes, but nothing more than that. So this was the thing which I did. And about the mock test, as I already told, I used to write every day. I did not miss even a single day. I used to write for all the 90 days which were there between the prelims and mains. So you can maybe count कि कितना है उसका.
Yeah, I think it became like a I don't know if you were feeling also कि मेंस के दिन पे कुछ अलग हो रहा है, like because you've written so much
Yes,
कि
true,
उस दिन
true.
वो it becomes your muscle memory or something, right? It's like
Yes,
हाँ मतलब तो वो घबराहट वगैरह it's all gone.
yes, sir.
Great.
Sure, sure.
Can I ask you like what are the rituals that you were doing for maintaining physical and mental health? Because I think that is the aspect that is ignored by a lot of aspirants, and does it actually help in making you sharper and in preparation, etc.? Because I believe if you ask 10 people, 6 of them will say time nahi hai abhi to bhai padhai karni hai. But the rest of the 4 people who prioritize it, would you say कि they're better off in their exam preparation?
Sir, I don't know whether they are better off in their exam preparation, but I feel that it gives you a lot of sanity. For personally, for me, in my school days, I used to weigh around 120 kgs, okay? And I brought it
Okay.
down to 75, between 75 80. So what is it's like I feel something missing in myself when I don't work out. So I used to go out for one hour walk इन द इवनिंग. उसमें फैमिली से भी बात हो गई. यू आर एबल टू बैलेंस ईच एंड एवरीथिंग. फैमिली से भी बात हो गई, कुछ हो गया नहीं हो रहा है तो ऐसे उठा लिया, तो ऐसे को ब्रेनस्टॉर्म कर लिया उस वन आवर में, एथिक्स को ब्रेनस्टॉर्म कर लिया, ठीक है. एंड इसके अलावा सर मेंटल हेल्थ के लिए आई एम क्वाइट स्पिरिचुअल. तो आई यूज्ड टू डू मेडिटेशन एंड आई यूज्ड टू
Is
प्रे
there a
टू.
particular school of thought that you follow in meditation या फिर normal breath work
नो 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 सर,
types?
ऐसे ही जैसे पॉडकास्ट है अपना वहां पे पड़ा हुआ है
अच्छा अच्छा.
स्पॉटिफाई पे, तो उस पे ईशा का पड़ा हुआ था, तो उसी में तो
Got it.
सदगुरु सेज आई एम नॉट इवन द बॉडी, आई एम नॉट इवन द सोल, ऐसे करके
Correct, correct, correct,
दैट. तो
correct, correct,
आई
correct.
हैव टू डू दैट. एंड पूजा वगैरह सर मैं करता था रोज. तो दीज वर द थिंग्स व्हिच kept me sane.
Great. Do you want to say like 2-3 lines on interview? A lot of folks here will be writing mains this year, and finger crossed they should qualify. And if they end up in interview, like what are the things that you want?
Interview is just about what you are. मतलब in UPSC from day one in my journey, I tried to inculcate the basic values which were there. I used to mold my opinions consciously to align it with the need of UPSC, like socially responsible, environmentally conscious. These things I brought it in my daily behavior as well. So if you are doing that like खुशहाली rank 61, what she did was वो village visit करती थी बहुत ज्यादा. तो उसका जो है naturally it came inside her. So you people can also go out there and work with certain people. So these are the things which will naturally give you a lot of attitudinal or behavioral change होगा. तो वो आपके आंसर्स में भी आएगा बेसिकली. तो जब इंटरव्यू का कॉल आए तो दिन भर पढ़िए मत, में भी बाहर चले जाइए. Go work with certain NGOs. It's not like you do it on every day, maybe on a weekend or something like that. So it will bring out the best of you. And वही है DAF होता है. And then the current affairs, you have to focus on those things. So maybe वो तो सब लोग बात करते हैं, but we always forget about what we are doing on a daily basis. That forms our personality, है ना? So try to get in
Yeah.
touch with your inner self. That's all.
Yeah, I mean the name itself is personality test, precisely.
Yes.
And like rarely we can fake it, right? And they've been doing this every year, yeah. They'll pick
Yeah.
you up. They'll like कि सही है वो हर साल ही कर रहे हैं.
Yes.
Great. Great. Uh, I think we have covered all the questions. Thank you so much, first of all, for taking out time. I
Thank
know
you.
you were traveling, and thank you so much because the kind of depth that you've shown to 200 people, 200 plus people, that the back end of qualifying mains, you have actually shown walking us your own answer copies and PYQs, etc. We'll try to put it, the people who couldn't attend, we'll try to share recording to them and put it on YouTube for them to help. If we couldn't cover up your question, there's a link in the chat. Click on that and we'll get on a call and try to answer your question and try to help you out. There's also a link for Siddharth's Telegram. So please join the Telegram where he's sharing notes. I'll also email you his Telegram link. Okay, great, Siddharth. Thank you so much for taking out time. This was great. And looking forward to see you in service and to hold more such sessions. All the best. And
Thank you so much for the opportunity, sir. Thank you. It was my pleasure.
yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you, sir.
yeah. Take care. Bye bye, folks.